So I'm coming to y'all live from beautiful St. Kilda out here in Melbourne. And it's a beautiful day, y'all. And I'm gonna just show y'all how I travel for cheap. Whew, ghetto. Y'all probably wondering why I'm dressed like this, and it's because I just came from a job interview that I actually just got. It was like a beautiful day outside, so I was just like, why not make a little video, a little vlog real quick. So here it is.
Where's Reis?
That was classic.
Do you want to try a different one?
Do whatever you want to
All
do,
right,
bro.
cool.
It's all you. This is your time right now.
Oh, this is
your 15 minutes of fame right here.
This is me.
It's your 15
Where
minutes
is
of fame.
Reis right now?
Wait, go again. Do that again.
All right. Where is Reis?
You can do as many as you want. It's all you.
All right. Where's Reis? All right, that's it.
Okay. Cool.
Everybody keep asking me, how do I travel? So when it comes to traveling for cheap, it's 4 things that you need to know. Number 1, you can work for accommodation. The second thing is to stay in a hostel. The third thing is to be flexible on your dates. And the fourth thing is to sacrifice. It's all about the sacrifice. So a good way to travel long term is to work for accommodation. And if you want to find an accommodation job, there's 2 websites that I use. One is called workaway.info, and then the other one is called helpx.net. And with these 2 websites, you can pretty much find accommodation to like stay in a hostel and to work in a hostel. And most hostels require that you work like no more than like 15 to 20 hours. I worked at a hostel in Australia for 2 nights a week, 15 hours a week. And that was it. And with that, I was able to get free breakfast and free accommodation. I've also worked in a hostel in Spain, in Sevilla, and I worked there for like maybe 20 hours a week, but I still got the same free accommodation, free paella, free sangria, todo, mojitos, todo. So if you go to those 2 websites, you can find work that suits you in whichever city that you want to go to. Just put in the country, put in the city, and you can find hostels to match whatever you're looking for. So when you travel long term, accommodation is a big part of your expenses. So to minimize those expenses, if you want to stay somewhere for like a month or 2, why not work in a hostel? Never throw away the idea of actually being a walk-in and walking into a hostel and saying like, yo, what up? Y'all hiring, you know? Because hostels need workers to make the hostel run, and travelers are what makes the hostels run. And let's just say, for example, if you have like other passions that you want to work on, you know, working in a hostel and not having to worry about major overhead expenses, it gives you the time to focus on those things. Like if you're an artist, if you're a musician, you're a writer, a painter, you still have time to focus on those things that you love while getting free accommodation. So for me, I spend a lot of my time writing, a lot of my time making music, and it just gives me the ability to not have to worry about overhead expenses. Number 2, stay in a hostel. If you don't want to pay for hotels or Airbnbs, which can be overly expensive while you're traveling, stay in a hostel. Most hostels come with private rooms, so if you're not comfortable with being in the dorm room with 4 other people or 6 other people, then you can always stay in a private room. Now, do be aware that depending on where you are, those private rooms can fucking cost a lot. So, for example, at my hostel here in Australia, I think it cost about like maybe 100 Australian dollars per night, which is like 80 US dollars a night. At my hostel in Bali, I had a private room and it was only 14 bucks a night. So it just depends on where you are. If you go anywhere outside of America, staying in a hostel is a lifestyle, it's a way of life, and that's what most travelers do. And that's how you meet like-minded people, free-spirited people. I legit have met some of my best friends by staying in a hostel. I've never not once stayed in a hotel since I've been traveling, unless it was like paid for by my company when I was working in television. Other than that, like if I'm traveling by myself, solo dolo, I'm staying in the hostel all day long. Whenever I book a hostel, I go through this company called Hostel World. I've never used any other company. I've always used Hostel World. It's a good way to look for a hostel because you can set your parameters. So if you want a hostel that's rated between 8 to 10 stars on a scale from 1 to 10, then you can set those parameters. If you want a hostel that's only going to cost you 10 to 30 bucks a night, then you can set those parameters. If you want a hostel that has, you know, free Wi-Fi, AC, all of that, anything that you want, you can set those parameters, and it'll find hostels to match those that you like. They also always show like the pictures of the hostel rooms, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the facilities, so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you go into the hostel. And trust those ratings too. I'm like low-key a bougie traveler, so I'm just not saying nothing less than 8, point blank period. Rule number 3, be flexible with your dates. So for example, if you want to fly on a Friday, but it's cheaper to fly on a Wednesday, pick that Wednesday. Like, save them extra bucks. That shit comes in handy. Like, you can use that extra money to do activities at your new destination. So just be smart about the days. Be flexible. You have to be flexible. That's the main key in getting a cheap ticket. Me personally, I book all my flights through Google Flights. So I've never used any other website than Google Flights. And I love Google Flights because it gives you the comparison between every airline. And it also lets you set alerts to your email for a particular flight. So for example, if I wanted to fly to Spain, on June 12th, I could set an alert to my email and I would be notified if the ticket prices go up or go down. So that's a good way to like stay on top of the best time to buy a ticket. Google Flights, it never fails. Also, to build upon rule number 3, be flexible with your dates. So for example, if you want to go to Rome, but it's cheaper to fly to Florence, which is also inside of Italy, then fucking fly to Florence. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Because you can always get to your main destination once you get to that specific country. So look at the cities around that's around the main city that you want to go to, and see what the flights are costing to get to those locations as well, because you'll be surprised how much cheaper it is to fly to a smaller airport or to a different city within the same country. And that way you can also get a chance to visit more cities, so why not? Don't be afraid of layovers. So if you can get a really cheap ticket by doing a 15-hour layover in a city that you don't necessarily want to go to, then why not do it? Because you can still get a chance to see another city, and it'll cost you a lot less. Go explore something, go see something new, especially if it can save you a couple $100. Also, if you are going to Europe, there's one website that I use to book all my tickets. It's called goeuro.com, and I love it because it compares trains, buses, and airplanes on this specific website. So you can see how cheap it is, how long each route will take, and it's just a good way to have everything that you need on the same page. And so you can compare and contrast what's the best option for you to get to where you want to go. So goeuro.com, I always use that. But that's only if you're going to Europe. If not, then it does you no justice. And the last thing is number 4, sacrifice. So for example, an iPhone costs what nowadays? $1,000, $1,000 US. You could take that same $1,000 and book you a round trip ticket to Europe, to Australia, to any country in the world with $1,000, you know, under the right circumstances. When it comes to like buying new clothes, I get my clothes from the thrift store. This jean jacket, this shirt, these pants, my shoes, like everything that I got on right now came from a thrift store. Just learn to like put your money to where you want it to go. People will spend money what they want to spend money on. So if you want to travel, you can find a way to make it happen. If you want to buy a new phone, you can find a way to make it happen. So whatever you want to do, you have to find a way to make it happen. Anything that's not going to help you to travel, let go of it and find something new to do. But sometimes you may have to eat some shitty food that you don't want to eat. But if it's going to allow you to stay in that country for a day longer, nigga, eat you some noodles. Bro, this fucking fly is blowing me. Oh my God. Okay, wait, hold on. All right, anyway, I'm back. Those were the 4 major things that I do to travel for cheap. Now, before you go anywhere, There's 3 things that you must do. The first thing, check the visa requirements because every country has a different visa policy. What you don't want to do is book a ticket, get to the country, and then they tell you, oh, you need a visa. You can't come in. So you have to like make sure that you know the visa requirements for each country. And that's just a matter of a simple Google search. Number 2, vaccinations. Vaccinations. How you say it? Vaccinations.
Bruh.
I'm gonna spell it out. Vaccinations on the screen. I don't know how to say it right. Some countries require them, some countries don't. It just depends on where you're from and it depends on where you've been before. And the third thing, if you are going to be traveling long term, you definitely want to invest in some type of traveler's insurance. I don't have insurance, but but it's a good thing to have. So if you need anything else, feel free to hit me up. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, share. Yeah, man, hit me up. Peace. Love y'all.
All right, man. What's your name and where you from?
My name is Christian, and I'm from Canada.
Okay. So, Christian, why do you travel?
I feel like you can't really know yourself until you've traveled and put yourself into certain situations. And then once you branch out into the world and you really have no one but yourself to kind of count on, and that forces you to go out and experience different things, meet different people. It really tests you as a person. And I think all the things that you learn, all the tests that you put yourself through are really valuable when you take it to other areas of your life. I've met people who make like $500,000 a year, and they told me, Christian, you know, like, one thing I regret not doing is traveling to Australia or wherever in my 20s and doing a working holiday visa. I can't do it now. I have a family.
What is like one of the most important things that you've learned since traveling?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that you need to be okay with making tough decisions before things get tough.
Okay, and your favorite place in the world, what would that be?
For right now, it's Australia for me because I've been wanting to come here since I was 5. So this whole traveling business here, this has been like a long time dream of mine. I think it's a tie between Australia and Israel. So I spent 3 months in Israel as well. That's one of the most interesting places I've ever been. You know, really beautiful people, amazing food, and things that you wouldn't see anywhere else in the world.
Anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Christian?
If you're ever considering traveling, or maybe if you want to travel and you're thinking, you know, I have a career, I got something, you know, like I'm not sure if it's going to work out. Listen, you know, if you really want to do this, you just got to put it all down and you got to go do it. Like I quit my career and everything for this, and I have absolutely no regrets.